What's up everyone? So this video is going to be kind of a basic guide to outpost building in Starfield with very detailed timestamps. If you're looking to be shown something in particular, please check those out in the video description. And hopefully by the end of this video, you will have an idea of pretty much everything you need to know to get a basic network of outposts up and running. So let's get into it. So once you're landed somewhere in an area that you'd like to place an outpost, the first thing you're going to do is bring up your scanner using F. And then down here, you'll see you have an option for R to open the outpost menu or build mode, as I call it. The number in parentheses is the remaining number of outposts you can build. If you level up your outpost engineering and planetary habitation skill badges, you can build more outposts than this, but you start with up to 8 that you can build. So if we hit R, you can see the first thing we'll be doing is placing an outpost beacon. The outpost is a circular area with the beacon marking the center, and up in the left corner it shows you what resources are available within that outpost area that you're selecting based on where you're putting your beacon. So I'm going to go ahead and hit E to build my outpost. Now if you decide you want to move it, you can hit Tab to enter modify mode. Hover over it, and then you'll have the option to move if you hit E. Another very important tool of build mode is overhead view, which you can toggle on using V. So hit V. And when you're in overhead view like this, you can zoom in just by moving your mouse forward and zoom out just by moving it backward. And we can see here our, oh God, there's a lot of animal activity going on over here. And we can see this yellow line here designating the perimeter of our outpost. I don't know, it is kind of hard to see. There you go. You can actually see this from the ground with your scanner out. We can kind of see that yellow line there marking the edge of the outpost. So as long as you're within your outpost limits, whenever you bring up scanner, you can hit R to enter build mode and you'll have the option to begin building. So to rename or delete your outpost, you close out of like the outpost, the build menu altogether, and you'll just approach it like normal and this little interface will pop up. You have the option to rename by tapping R or remove by holding R down. But what happens to your outpost if you delete the beacon? So let's see, I have an extractor mining lead here. We got some power set up. I have a little hab, and let's remove it. It deletes everything and there's no way to undo it, and you do not get the materials back. So now that we have our outpost beacon, let's get building. I'm going to press F to open my scanner, R to open the build mode, and now up in the corner we have all these blueprints sorted into categories that we can scroll through using C and Z. The grayed out ones are ones that we have unlocked, like tech-wise, but we don't have the material on us right now to actually build. And whenever you have a blueprint selected in the top left, you can see the materials required to build that blueprint as well as the operating cost, if any. So for something like a fabricator, you actually have to input material, obviously, and you need a certain amount of power. However, for something like just a storage container, once it's built with these materials, there's no operation cost. These materials, like it says, I have 180 aluminum available and it only requires 5. Materials are kind of registered within your personal inventory and any storage buildings or warehouses within your outpost limits and your ship's cargo hold. It does not register materials stored in chests or storage boxes. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later when we get into the storage specifics. Okay, so first let's look at placing a hab structure, because I don't know about you guys, but that's what I was most excited about initially when I hear outpost building. So you'll find all structures in the structures menu up here that you'll get to by, pressing C and Z. And for some of these structures, you'll see a little number below it, like 1 out of 2. And with Q and T, you can cycle between these. These are just different variants. We have a few different hallway types. So I'm just going to put in a simple 4-wall hab, and you're going to press E to decide where you want to build it. Now, after you hit E once, you have the option to adjust the height of the foundation by moving your mouse forward or back. So forward raises it, It's as high as it goes. And then back lowers it. So then you'll hit E to confirm. Ta-da! So now we have to put in a door. So from the structures menu, we can select outpost airlock. And when you hold it up to the side of a hab, it will highlight and show where it is connecting in yellow. If you elevated your foundation at all, also it will come with stairs. I know the stairs aren't showing yet, but there are stairs there. Let's go ahead and put it right here. I'm gonna press E to confirm. And we have some stairs there. Unfortunately, there's no just like regular door. I feel like on planets with breathable atmospheres, I should be able to just like have a wooden door that I can walk through, but sadly it's not the case. So let's go ahead in our hub and talk about putting in windows, because it is looking mighty dreary in here. So here's how to change that up. You're gonna press F and then R to get into build mode. And now you're gonna hit tab to enter modify mode. Now in modify mode, whenever you are hovering over an object, you'll have the option to move it. However, when you're hovering over a hab, it will highlight different walls. And instead of a move option, you'll have a change option. So I'm gonna hover over this one and go ahead and tap E. And it shows you a different kind of window configuration. And you can cycle through them just by tapping E. There's 3 different ones for this hab. I like that. And there's no confirm or anything. You just like move on and select something else if you find the style that you like. That is much better. Now you can of course build more than one hab structure, so let's go ahead and add a second one. Yeah, we'll put it right here. So I'm gonna F and then R, and I'm still in modify mode from before, so let me just tab out of that. And I'm just gonna do another 4-wall hab. Now you can see I don't need to build a hallway between them. If I just hold it up, it will kind of automatically do this like mini hallway connecting them and highlight where it's gonna go. But if I do want to put a hallway, and now I'll put my hab. And let's enter modify mode real quick to add some windows on here. And now we have our little initial basic hab. So now going back inside, when we enter from our airlock, we have this initial room, little hallway, and then our second room, but still looking pretty barren. So let's talk furniture and decor. In build mode, there is a furniture tab and a pretty wide selection of furniture, which you can expand by conducting research at your research station. But for now, let's just put, you know, the essentials. Just put a bed. And just like with the habs, there are different variants of these. You can see there's 10 different ones of the bed, and we can cycle through them using T and Q to pick one that we like. I kind of like the, I mean, like, let's be honest, this one looks the comfiest, but I feel like this one like fits the vibe. Let's put it in this second room here. And I'm rotating using right click and regular click, and I hate it so much. Okay. I'm just gonna put a little shelf right beside my bed also. Ta-da! So these variants I selected after they're built, if you enter modify mode, your only option is to move them. But what this moving means is that we have a little bit of freedom to decorate our space with items from our inventory. Theoretically, it should be full freedom, but in practice, it's a bit clunky. I'll just show you what I mean. So I'm gonna close out and enter my own inventory, and I'm gonna drop some stuff that I would like to just decorate my space with. Maybe a flower and God, ew. And a coffee. So now I'm going to enter build mode again, hit tab to enter modify mode, and then hover over an object, and you can see it doesn't highlight, but as soon as I hover over it, the option to move appears. So I'm gonna tap E, and I can place this now. Now here's what I mean by clunky. I feel that I should be able to put this on a bottom shelf, but I can't. The bottom shelf must remain empty obnoxiously. We'll just pop this here then for now. So you have a degree of freedom to decorate, but it's not as perfect as I'd like. I'd like to be able to do lower shelves. It's really difficult to get food to cooperate with going inside of refrigerators, and, you know, making things look nice inside of glass display cases, but it is possible if you have the time to nitpick over it. So real quick before we move on, I'll show some of the decor options here. So in build mode, in the decoration tab, we have these first two things are storage boxes and storage crates. And there's a few variants of these that look nice. This is more for keeping, like, you know, weapons and spacesuits in. I would not keep any resources in here, as your like crafting and building will not register these as available. You'd have to like manually take them into your inventory in order for them to kind of show up in the top left here as being present in your inventory. But we can maybe hang a nice poster. Laser love. All right, not too bad. Now, another thing that you are probably going to want to put in your outpost are some workstations, so that you don't need to travel elsewhere to, you know, upgrade your weapons, spacesuits, or conduct research. Now, a research lab is really the only one that I always feel the need to have. I mod my weapons and suit and whatnot infrequently enough that I don't feel the need to have one, you know, a station like that always accessible, but I feel like I'm always checking in on the research. So I'm going to put a little research station here. And the other thing that you're going to want to put in, if you intend to have anybody else living at this outpost, is a crew station. So in the build menu, you'll actually find that all the way at the end under miscellaneous. And it's crew station, and unfortunately it's ugly. You know, I wish we had some freedom here to change this up. So now that we have this crew station, we can assign crew to live at this outpost. And here's how to do that. So you're going to look at your ship, and then you're going to tap C to access crew. And you can see the people that you currently have available here. So what you'll do is you'll click one. Like I have Heller right now working at my other outpost on this same moon elsewhere, my main one. And I'm going to assign him to work on this one. So next time I load into this outpost, Heller will be here working on stuff. So now let's talk storage crates. Another big reason you might be looking to build an outpost is to have more room for all the crap you're accumulating, and there are a few different options. So first, let's look at the options in the actual storage menu of build mode. So F, R. The first option is this big thing called a transfer container. This is basically like an outpost inventory that you can access while inside your ship and easily transfer things between your ship and outpost without needing to manually carry them from your ship on your character. It has a capacity of 200. So here's how that works. You are going to approach your transfer container and walk up to it, and you can hit R to transfer stuff back and forth. This pulls up what's currently in the container. This is just because I filled it with bullshit earlier. And it's a little bit too full for this experiment right now, so let me just take some crap out. And then down here, you can see that you can cycle in between your inventory using Q and the ship's inventory using Q again. And from here, you can choose what you want to load into the storage container. So I'll just put my chlorine and cobalt. So I'm transferring chlorine and cobalt from my cargo hold to my outpost container right now. And now we can just double check, see if it worked here. And sure enough, it did. So it's just kind of an easy way to move stuff from your ship to your outpost without having to jog back and forth. Then there are these containers for solid storage, liquid storage, and gas storage. And as you upgrade your manufacturing research, you can increase the size of the storage. Let's go ahead and put down a solid one. I do wish that there was like a grid. I find it so annoying that there's not. I'm gonna go ahead and build that. Bam. And since we also have water available, I'm going to go ahead and build a liquid storage. Now, the nice thing about these is they like want to snap together. Oh, it's so pleasing. You can stack them on top of each other, next to each other. We'll do directly next to you, why not? So the capacities of each of these are 75. And you can only keep resources in them. You cannot keep like weapons or anything like that. But you can walk up and tap R to access the storage, and then go back and forth between your inventory and solid storage. So then there are warehouses. These are basically the same as the solid storage, liquid storage, gas storage, except for instead of holding raw resources, they hold manufactured goods. Now we do have those storage options I mentioned before that are not listed in the storage category, the storage box and storage crate. And once again, I think these are really good for if you want to keep ammo, weapons, spacesuit, etc. You can keep stuff like that in here, but I wouldn't recommend keeping resources. And I mean, honestly, when it comes to like weapons and suits, if you tab once to the display category, there's a couple other options to keep that stuff. You can actually put a mannequin down. You can have a helmet display that you keep a helmet in, a weapon rack that you put weapons on, a single weapon rack, a weapon case, and a pack stand, which I really like actually. Okay, this pack is looking like really raggedy. I wish I had a better looking one. I just love the stats of it, so that's why I've been hauling it around, but there, there we go, home sweet home. So another very pressing reason to build an outpost is to start passively acquiring resources. Extractors are an automated way to mine elements and compounds, and different resources require different extractors. Only those for resources you have within your outpost area will show up. So like, I mean, you can see I have the option for water vapor, water, and aluminum. I don't have the option for like beryllium. That's because there's no beryllium available within my outpost limits. So let's go ahead and put down a aluminum one and a water one. You can see it's not letting me put the aluminum one. It says it must be placed on a resource vein. So I highly recommend toggling on overhead view using V. And now as you move around, the resource vein is highlighted. I'm gonna go ahead and pop it right here. Now let's just put down a water extractor, which I could put anywhere. I might as well put it over here too, why not? So once these mine, you can run up to them and grab resources from their internal storage the same way you would loot a chest. Obviously there's nothing in here right now because it's not powered up, but you can actually set it up so that any resources extracted by your extractors will automatically begin filling your storage containers rather than just sitting in the extractor itself and you needing to remove it manually. So there are two ways to do this, and I'm just going to show you the much easier one. So you'll go ahead and enter your outpost mode, and then hit tab to enter modify mode, and then hit V to toggle overhead view. And you're gonna hover so that your center cursor is over the extractor that you want, and you're gonna right click to create output link, and then drag over to the storage facility you wanna keep it in. And you can see it actually highlighted my solid storage container here to indicate that that's a match for the extractor that I've created an output link from. And then once it's snapped on, I'll hit E to finalize the link. And let me do the same with my water extractor and my liquid storage. So hover over it, right click to create output link, and then drag it to my liquid storage and E to confirm. So we have the connections made, but they're still not mining, and that's because they're not connected to power. So let's get some power up and running. So available power sources are found under the power menu of build mode. You can hover over them, and on the left it will show you obviously the required materials to build it and also what the power output would be. So for a solar panel it's 6, wind turbine 3, a fuel generator 20, but you can see that there's an operating cost, so you actually have to input helium-3 into it, which makes sense. That's the fuel. So since I don't want to deal with refueling anything, let's go ahead and just do some solar arrays. And actually, you can put these on top of your buildings, which I like doing. I really wish these snapped to a grid. It looks so shitty. Oh well. Actually, it doesn't look half bad. Okay, so I have my solar panels set up on the roof, which was not necessary, but I like the way it looks. And I actually have to hook stuff up. It's not like automatically broadcasting power somehow. So to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and enter our trusty modify mode again. So F, R, and then tab, and V for overhead view, because I cannot live without it. And I'm gonna hover over one of my arrays, and you can see underneath move, it kind of grayed out, it says hold for extras. I'm gonna hold E, and then this pop-up appears for me to select wire. Yes. And I'm just gonna link all my power sources together. I just like to do that. So let's do that. We'll connect this one. And to connect, you just kind of move till it snaps to, it's kind of hard to tell because we are so zoomed out, but it will snap to the other panel. Attach wire, attach wire. Okay, so those are all connected. Now I can hover over one of them, hold E, and drag the wire out to connect to my extractor, and it would be connected. But I'm going to use a power switch. A power switch is basically a way for you to control how your power is used and be able to just kind of redirect it just by flipping a switch if you need to. So from build mode, I'm going to go powered switch, and I'm just going to put one right outside. Ta-da! Now I'm going to go into modify mode, and now we'll go overhead, and I'm going to connect the power to my switch. God, it's so hard to, there we go. Attach. And now I'm going to select the switch, hold E, grab the wire, and stretch that to my extractor and my other extractor. All right, so we can see that both the extractors are working right now. They're both moving, they're both mining, and sure enough, if we come and check these crates, we should see that they are filling up. We have 1 water already, and already 5 aluminum. But now since we installed this switch, we can just turn it off, and it cuts power to everything I connected directly to that switch. So we're still producing all that power, but it's no longer going to these extractors. So it's kind of useful to have switches set up for like different functions of your outposts. Maybe if you have some like very power hungry defenses later down the line that you want to be able to mostly leave off. So I don't know, I like this feature, just makes me feel a little bit more organized with my power grid. We'll turn it back on. I will say that interestingly, your habs do not need power to operate, which bothers me because first of all, there's lights inside, and then also the airlock is obviously powered. I thought that they would at least require power in an extreme environment because like life support, but that I've not found that to be the case in my extreme environment habs. So that's another small letdown from the like outpost building, but is what it is. So as you're exploring options for your outposts, you're probably running into a need for things like adaptive frames and zero wire and so forth. And you can buy these components from almost any trader, but you can also easily manufacture them. You'll do this using a fabricator, and the simplest tier of this is just the simple fabricator, which is found in the builder menu when you're in build mode. So you can see simple fabricator. I also could build a compound fabricator, which is pretty cool. It builds like even fancier components, but we don't need that right now. So we're just going to put down a simple fabricator. Okay, so once you build a fabricator, you need to hook it up to power. And to do that, again, I'm just going to pop into overhead view, and I'm in modify mode right now. Do I want it to be hooked up to my switch? I think I do. So you can also hover over the extractor, whatever you need to power up, and hold E to open extras. Grab the wire and do it that way if that's easier for you. Ta-da! God, that is so crooked. That's... Oh, look at me down there. I look good. So you can see it's powered up. It's chugging along. But if we walk up, obviously it is not actually producing anything because we have not given it the supplies to do so. So you're going to stroll up to the control console, tap E to activate. And this is where you set the recipe for what you want to build. So it's defaulting to adaptive frames. So we'll leave it as adaptive frame, although I actually do need some mag pressure tanks, but I don't have nickel with me. So, and we can see that it requires 1 iron and 1 aluminum per adaptive frame. So we can actually automate this to just draw materials from a storage crate. They don't need to be right next to each other. I just did that because I wanted to tuck this kind of out of the way. So to do that, there are 2 ways. The first is going to be in our Fave modify mode by hovering over the storage, right click to create output link, and then just immediately link it directly into the fabricator. Ta-da! But you can also actually just approach this and hold E, and it opens this little quick menu, and you can create an output link from there as well. I don't like doing it that way, but you can, is the point. So now it's automatically getting aluminum from that storage container, because this storage container is automatically getting aluminum from our extractor. But we actually don't have any iron in there. I don't have any in my inventory either. So went to my ship and got some iron. Now it's raining, but I'm gonna go ahead and just manually pop a couple iron in this storage container. And now our fabricator will be able to make adaptive frames. So already we can see it took one of the iron out and produced, oh look, it's produced 2 adaptive frames already. So this can internally store up to 10 adaptive frames, and then it will stop manufacturing the components. So what you can do is you can actually set up an output link from this to a form of storage as well. Now you cannot store manufactured components in this sort of storage container. This is for like raw resources only. So for this, you would need to create an output link to a warehouse. You know, I think I'm gonna go to sleep till the next day because the weather's bad and I want the weather to be good for this video. Where's Heller? Oh my God, these things are attacking me. I tried to go to sleep. I woke up. It's somehow raining harder than ever. It's darker than ever. Heller's nowhere to be seen. You know what? This is as good a time as any to actually do defenses. So from build mode, we do have a defense menu. And you can research... Oh God, I'm getting poisoned by these things. I'm just going to go ahead and throw down a ballistic turret. Oh my God. Whew. Okay, finally. So I set up a turret that is finally... It's saving me from these creatures, thank God. So after a battle such as that, you'll probably need to repair your defenses. You can see I have the option. And now we're good to go. I'm disturbed that Heller's off somewhere dead because of those, but... Okay, so as I was saying before, the use of power switches to set up a grid is something that would be very useful for defenses. So maybe you have like a whole perimeter of turrets, but you don't want to have them constantly be draining your power. You could put them all on one grid with one switch. And then if you're under attack, like I was last night by these swarming sunflowers, you could quickly, switch off the grid connected to all your production equipment and switch on the grid connected to your defenses. There's also an option in the structures category to build a watchtower, which just gives you a nice shooting advantage, but I think it's overkill in terms of defenses at this particular outpost. But I want to talk about this other thing in our builders category, the greenhouse and animal husbandry facility. Let's look at greenhouse first, and we'll do overhead mode for this to decide where to place it. Maybe right here. Now, just like with all our other production things, we do need to set this up with power. So we're going to hit tab to enter modify mode, hover over your greenhouse and hold E, select wire, and I'm going to hook it up. I'm going to hook it up to this switch. I'm hooking everything up to this switch. So we've done that. Let's see what else we need to do. So this is what they look like. You can go inside. Regrettably, this is just for looks. You can see currently I'm growing crag root. But yeah, this isn't Stardew Valley. I don't get to actually tend these. You'll actually control everything from this panel and that storage locker. So go ahead and close that door. And on the panel, which you will tap to activate, instead of selecting what plant to grow, you select what plant resource you're trying to produce here. So for example, crag root produces toxin. That's what's currently built. If I pick any of these other resources, it will change the plant that's growing in my greenhouse to match that. Now I would like structural. Up here is the input that's required to produce this, and it's water, which makes sense, right? You need to water the plants. Unfortunately, we are producing water here. So we can actually hook up our liquid storage right there directly to the greenhouse. So to do that, I'm just going to open up our build mode, F, R, and then tab to modify mode, V for overview. And I'm going to hover over our liquid storage, right click to create output link, and then connect it to our greenhouse, E to confirm. So our greenhouse is hooked up to power and water. And now in this, oh look, it's already producing structural material. This bin is where all the produced resources will show up. And just like with the extractors and the fabricators, you can actually link this to a storage bin so that it automatically fills a bin. Now, you don't need to do a warehouse here. You can link this directly to one of those solid storage containers because this counts as a raw resource. So let's just do that, in fact. I'm going to do it the other way that I don't like to do. I'll hold E, select output link, and then jog with the link all the way over and link it. All right, now let's look at the animal husbandry facility. This is the smaller one. And I've also unlocked the commercial one, and there's also an industrial, which is even bigger. We'll just go ahead and pop it right here. And you can see some animals automatically suddenly spawned around it. They won't hurt me. They're just part of this. So just like with the greenhouse, this requires power and some sort of resources to put in. So let's walk up to the control console, tap E to activate. And right now I'm selecting what animal resource to be producing at this facility. That's what's determining which animal is spawning. So there are more than 3 animals and 3 animal resources in this biome. However, bigger, I feel like something bad's happening because of this music. I'm a little bit stressed. Yes. Can that thing cut me some slack? So right now it's set to be producing spice, which is why it's the flocking horsamander grazers. But I could set it to membrane, for example, and it immediately replaces them with our, like, dodos. Oh, it's cute. Or pigment, and it's those birds that I hate quite a bit. I'm like right by a nest of these swarming sunflowers. And we can see that a water input is required as well as fiber. So, you know, like water and food for the animals. Water's easy enough. In modify mode and overhead view, we're going to come to our water, right click to create output link and drag it to our barn. But we do not have any fiber. So I'm still going to create an output link from our storage container to the barn. And then we'll just have to go put some fiber in there manually. Of course, if you got things all automated and we're producing fiber in a greenhouse and then linking that to the barn, that would be quite efficient. I did not do that. You also have to make sure that your barn is connected to power. So once again, from modify mode, I'm going to hover over it, hold down E for extras, pull up the wire, and then I'm just going to link it to my switch here. A master switch. And now the only thing we're missing from here to get started on producing that pigment resource is fiber to feed the animals. But you know what? So the inside is empty. You could just decorate this. Maybe some desks, maybe some storage crates. Now we're going to look at the robots tab of our build mode. And you can get, you know, a defense robot, an engineering robot. I'm going to put down a little garden mini bot because I think it's so cute. All it does is increase the production rate of any like plants that I'm growing, basically, any organic resources. So I'm just going to pop that down. Ta-da. Ah, I love him. Are you trapped? Are you going to... He's stuck. This is realistic. So the robot's presence just tends to like boost your productivity, or in the case of the defense robot, help defend your base. The robots don't actually like do tasks other than defense if it's a defensive robot. So last but not least, before we take a look at the extreme environment outpost building, I want to talk about cargo links and automating transport of resources between your different outposts. Under miscellaneous, you can see we have these things called a cargo link, which is huge, and a intersystem cargo link. We also have a landing pad with ship builder and a small landing pad. So the small landing pad, I think looks the best. It says it's small, it's still pretty enormous. When you choose to land at your outpost, your ship will actually land here within your outpost limits rather than like at the nearby landing area, which for me is 400 meters away. Now, the advantage of the landing pad with ship builder, which is so huge, it's like, it doesn't even make sense to try and put in an outpost. It's like, I feel like it's as big as the whole outpost, but whatever. Let's actually, you know what? I'm going to fast travel to my ship and let's come back and land on this. So now we have this absolutely massive landing pad, although I have to admit it does look good with the ship on it. The real perk is this little console here. From here, you can view and modify all your ships, set a new home ship. You can also buy ships. So this is nice because you don't actually need to go to a ship technician at an official like spaceport or star yard or whatever to do this. Oh look, a teller. About time you show up.
Anything I can do for you?
You could have been around when we were being attacked, but... Alright, but let's look at the cargo links here. The cargo link is another landing pad basically, but it's not for a ship flown by people. It's like an automated transport shuttle that will go back and forth between your outpost and another outpost to bring supplies back and forth. Now the cargo link, not the intersystem one, just the basic cargo link, can only do this between outposts that are located within the same system, and there is no operating cost once it is built. So I'll show you how it works. We'll go ahead and build one here. So from this console, you'll tap E to activate, and then it pulls up all the other outposts at which you have a cargo link station. So I already have cargo link set up at 2 of my other outposts in the system, and I'm going to select which one I want to link this to. I'm just going to link it to the other outposts on this same planet because that's the one that I know there's a bunch of crap in the outgoing bin. So I'm going to click it and confirm that I'm linking these together. So we haven't had to wait long. This is actually our cargo ship right now, coming into land on our cargo link with a delivery from the other outpost. I have to say I really like the cargo links. I feel like it just adds some hustle and bustle to the outpost. And it takes a couple minutes for it to like unload stuff into the, that's the outgoing bin, into the incoming bin. So look at all the crap that was in the outgoing bin at my other outpost, which I was just using as like overflow storage, clearly. Well, now it's all here and it's all for the taken at this outpost. So something that's nice is when I'm building, it registers these bins as part of the inventory. So you can see it's telling me I have 319 iron available. So you can directly connect these to your storage using the output link that we know and love. This does only have a capacity of 300, but I mean, that's more than the transfer container that you might build for the ship. It's way more than the individual storage containers. So I do kind of take advantage of that and use them for storage more than I do use them for transport. Now the intersystem ones are for cargo links in outposts that are in different systems. You can still transfer just like this, but you have to refuel them with 5 helium. And lastly, let's look at building outposts in extreme environments. So you need to unlock the planetary habitation skill badge in order to do this. So this planet, for example, one of the moons of Agamon is in a deep freeze, so that counts as an extreme environment. It has very low gravity, so you know, it'll be fun to jump around on. So let's go ahead and land there in the frozen plains. So I will admit something that I'm a little bummed out about is that all it takes is that skill badge to build an outpost here. So if you bring up your outposts, you can build an outpost. But then our structures are exactly the same. They don't require any additional materials. They don't require life support. They don't require further insulation. With research, you can unlock like more types of structures, but they're not necessary to survive in this environment. So the outpost building mechanics are basically identical to being on a, you know, temperate planet. That is a little bit disappointing to me, especially, you know, I've seen in some of the loading screens some like really cool insulated looking buildings, and I was just hoping that something like that and like life support would be required to be on a planet like this. But no, I could just throw down, I could just live in this glass house here. I don't have any sealant on me, so I can't build right now. So there you have it, my introductory guide to outpost building in Starfield. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask away in the comments. And if anything that I express in this video like is something that you figured out, you know, a different way to do, better way to do, feel free to share that as well, because this game is massive and I think it's safe to say that every single person that's playing the game is still learning. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Have fun out there in the Starfield.